Good morning, Rabbi. Yeah. Welcome. What's your name? Ari Perel. Were you here by Mitzia, maybe? Daf Tes?
Wow. Yes.
It's coming back. The memory's coming back. I remember from 2 minutes ago. It's unbelievable. In London also. If I remember about Mitzia Daf Tes, you think I don't remember you from London? What's wrong with you? Of course. Shalom, welcome. Gil Malishma. Gil over here is a pilot he's a jet pilot. So if anybody needs to fly private to ski locations and he's going solo, let him know, and then I'll just keep him company on those trips. That's not interesting. Skiing, scuba diving. But you'll put it on the screens in the plane. Hawker, he flies Hawkers.
He's also a pool pilot.
Oh, who?
He's the fastest in the pool.
A pool? What, you swim? You're a swimmer, wow. Flies in the pool. Okay, I got it. Well, schmooze. Hello, Rabbi. The whole MDY family continues strengthening myself and my family, entire class. You're unbelievable share. On a side note, in the spirit of bringing more people on, may I humbly suggest having our in-house famed author, Rabbi NaNachman Seltzer, write an article about our shir and share amongst all the Jewish media outlets. Your Talmud B'Yom and share Lakewood, New Jersey.
He did it like 25 times.
Like a real one. An idea for the remote MD wires, record the videos a week or so before. This is what I'm probably going to do. Record the videos a week or so before for Daf Kuf and Kuf Aleph and make it available Erev Rosh Hashanah. Probably that's what we're going to do. For the local MD wires, hold in-person shiurim on Yontif, which we're probably going to do. All the best, Josh Swidarski. This person says, in Hebrew, somebody sent you an idea to put all three shiurim in one shir, and you didn't understand what the pshat is. The pshat is very simple. Amud Beis always takes 7 minutes. So instead of listening 3 to 3 shiurim on Amud Aleph, 40 minutes times 3 plus 3 times 7 minutes. So that comes out to more than 2.5 hours without the emails. But if it's in one shir, l'chayr, it's only going to take 40 minutes. 40 minutes for Amud Aleph. And 5 times 7, all the other Amudim are like Amud Beis, so all the other Amudim are 7 minutes each. And Mamela, we could get through it a lot quicker. The Chvoid Rebelli Shlita, disclaimer on my grammar spelling, I'm a proud Belzer and Chassid and a Talmud of yours. I came to Eretz Yisrael for the in-house full circle MDY wedding of Yidi Leibowitz, Zechron Averbuch and Sally for against children, the famous Zisha. I was able to be at 3 live shiurim in the epicenter of MDY where Torah is being spread to Kol Kitzvahs Teva. What a different experience. Even different of live shiurim. I was outside of RMB. I don't know, Ramat Bet Shemesh maybe? I don't know. The Chaver there was so welcoming. It means the base medrash. But I don't know. Even, I don't know. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to see live how Rabbi NaNachman Seltzer gets along with you. The day I left, he came. And now my visit is not complete. I will have to come again. My father called me the next day and said so many bells of people told him they saw his son by the shir. He was shocked how popular MDY is in bells. I told him you call it the Hasidim in the closet. Already yearning to be back at RMB MDY, not your guest. Oh, he said this vard and I like it. Because I said, Shalom Aleichem, guest. Who's a guest? He says, I'm not a guest. I'm just a new face. I'm part of the shir. I'm not a guest. Just happen to be. You don't recognize my face. Hillel Kornbluth, uncle for Zisha, Fort Gang, and Sally Fort Gang. P.S. My son already asked me, he came with his son, and he's trying to convince his son to join the shir. Asked me for the WhatsApp link. Although you thought you might have scared him away with the B-suit. No, he's not scared away. He wants to do this shir. Shkoyach. Right? He preferred I shouldn't say his name. But if it's very important, I could say his name. So we'll say it like this. Good morning, Rabbi. Say, that's what I hear every night for the past 2 months when I open my laptop to learn. It's like a start of a new day with a fresh energy. I joined the shir at Bava Basra Chav Ches after I watched What a Day with MDY. That was the guy from yesterday, Ari Chaimowitz. I finished watching it, at around 1:30 a.m., the What a Day. And I thought to myself, I should join the daf. So I said, okay, from tomorrow, I'm in the shir. But then I realized that I can start right now. And that was my first shir with Rabbi at 1:30 in the morning. I haven't missed a day since. I now am still new to the shir, but I wanted to tell you what I feel and what I thought in bed yesterday night. Now, should I say, as everyone, that my life has changed since I started doing the daf? I don't know. I said it already. A million things in my life has changed, but still, I'm in the same life with the same struggles and everything else. One thing I can tell you, that I traveled to France on Bein Azmanim on a road trip for 4 days in a hotel for 7 days, and then to a different hotel for 3 days, and I haven't missed a day. It's probably more time learned than the last year or even 2 years combined, and the daf probably more than 3 years combined. So that's something different already than anything I did until now. Now to my dreams. I live in London right now, an American boy, and there's potentially hundreds of Ingelite that can really benefit from Yeshua. I like this a lot, Rabbi say. This is good. But not everyone enjoys sitting in their dining room by themselves and learning. In other words, watching the shir on a tablet. And not everyone has a laptop at home where they can learn. So my idea was to open a koilel erev, where we first watch the shir, and then maybe a 45 minutes for everyone to go over the shir, with or without chavrusas. That's a great idea. We always said that we should do the shir, but this will be a koilel erev, official. First you watch, then you do chazara. And I think it can be a big success. I know so many people that would really enjoy it, and they will be able to learn once again. So why wouldn't he put his name? Should we say his name? Vada. Yossi Kellner is his name. No, he said, please don't say my name. So I told Yosef Bilyak to write him back that I want to say his name. So he said, okay, if I want to say his name, I can say his name. If you think it's a chizuk. I think it's a great idea. Let's go. Let's start. Maybe if he needs help, we'll help him out. What do you say? Avada. Avada. What?
Start in Stanford Hill.
Stanford Hill. Put a screen in the shul over there. And let's go. I think it's a great idea. But you got to start it. Rabbi Yossi, you got to start it. You go. If you need help, let us know. And of course, on MDY style, I'll have no... it keeps on going. And of course, on MDY style, we'll have to give chulent and kegel on Thursday night. And maybe we'll be able to make a trip. Not a cruise, but maybe on a small fishing boat. It's gewaldic. This guy is with it. Yossi, you're good. He's right. You do a little small thing. You go on a little trip. You go to a cave or something. I really want to know what you think about it, and if you have any comments on how it can work better. Gewaldic. I don't have any comments. You got it right. P.S. If you read this by the shir, please don't mention my name. And by the way, I'll hopefully be in Israel for Tishrei, and I'm looking forward to come to MDY Live. We're going to give him a big yishkayach. Those are the great ideas that we're looking for. Anything else? Rabbi, who would believe I would do already 1,100 black Gemara with you, never missed a day, even though I've been doing Daf Yomi now for 19 years. It doesn't come close to the clearness and total geschmack I have with you. Don't listen to the naysayers who say he wastes too much time on emails, because that's what you guys are thinking right now. No, let's go. Don't waste jokes, stories, videos. There's nothing like the taste of success and all your thousands of followers. I want to mention that you had just a big tzaddik from Lakewood, of Moshe Yoselovsky, who has a hand in many chesed projects in Lakewood. He was also sitting right over here the other day, including dozens of gemachim that have in his own house. He's a chashuv, close to 40-year resident in Lakewood. Also, shout out to my old, pinch my ear in midnight, old roommate from Torah R, Rabbi NaNachman Seltzer. Third email, Rabbi said, third email. You see, we miss you here. You don't even, and the day that you weren't here, you have no idea how many emails we had with your name. This is garnished. Wow. You said like we could do whatever we want. I didn't do this. And my beloved Yaakov Citron, whose family is connected to mine, I can't forget the Shabbos in Stanford last year, and we're eagerly waiting for the next. I want to dance, Geshmak with you this time, not on Sunday after Shachris. That's that guy. After davening, he came, he said, listen, I was here for the whole Shabbaton and I didn't get to dance with you, so we made a rikah in the middle of the Beis Medrash. I hope you read this email because there were a few that were not read. Yours truly, devoted chassid of yours, Moshe Handler from Lakewood. I guess this one is too long and we'll have to remember to do it tomorrow. I hope to remember that. Okay, NaNachman Seltzer. The Masechta is about three NaNachman Seltzer emails. That's crazy. Chazaka. That we read. Yeah. Listen. The Masechta, I can't read all of them. The Masechta is sponsored for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. How do we remember to do this Yossi Kellner? Yossi, his name is? Yossi Kellner. It could be mamish a thing, because we're looking to do. In Lamashal in Beitar, they did a video of this, but it wasn't a koiler. It wasn't like it's another spin to it. Sorry, the Masech responsible for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnasa chodesh, Nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, Nishma Zechariah ben Yosef. Parnasa chodesh, myself, and Dr. Moshe Tzvi Dauber, and Abba Rennert, for the Refuah shleima and safe and speedy return of all our Chayalim. The Parnasa chodesh, matching Rebelli's donation with zchut Chayalim of the month. Parnasa Shavua, Chanan Averbuch, in honor of Rabbi Dovid Schoen of Miami, a successful partnership with Yitzy Shapira. Parnasa Shavua, for zchus, for complete Refuah, for Bracha Abigail Bas, גיטה, a fellow MDY member's wife. Parnasa Yoim, NaNachman Meouman. Nachman. Here we go. Yishkoya. Thank you, HKBH, for saving my family from a very dangerous riptide. Parnasa Yoim, in the zchus, for hatzalacha and parnasa. Parnasa chodesh for the month of art for the month, for zchus for Rebelli, and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. Rabbi Sai, we're holding here in a beautiful sugya. We had two Talmidim, Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yaakov. What happens if you do this thing right over here? It's also, by the way, it's Benny Rudnick's birthday today, so big mazel tov. Brachas after the shir. All right, so if somebody takes a pile of food, whatever it is, and sells it to somebody else, and he tries to give it to him by dumping it out on a simta. Simta is off the Rosh Hashanah, it's connected to the Rosh Hashanah, it's part of the Rosh Hashanah, it's much quieter than the Rosh Hashanah. So we had in the name of Rabbi Yochanan from Rabbi that it's good, it works. You can make a kinyan. Nobody owns the simta, but for this kinyan, it becomes yours. Reb Zera didn't like it. He said, maybe what you heard is this case. Similar, but very different. That maybe Rabbi Yochanan said that how are you kinda? If you put the food, you put the wheat or whatever produce into a vessel that's owned by somebody that's in the simta. So he says, you don't know how to learn. If you say such a thing, you don't know how to learn. I'm a ritz. It's like calling someone, how can you say something like this? Of course, if you put it in a vessel, it's yours. What's the chiddush? Rabbi Yochanan would have to say something like this. That's our sugya, basically on Amud Aleph. That's pashat. Rabbi Yochanan didn't come to say something that's pashat. Rabbi Yochanan said, even if you dump it on the floor. So the Gemara says, was Reb Zera impressed by that or not? Did he agree to that or not? So here we are. Tashma, like 12 lines from the bottom. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 lines from the bottom. Tashma. Modad v'loy moshach. It says in our Mishnah, if somebody measured, he weighed the wheat, and the buyer did not perform a meshicha, he didn't pull it in, loy kana. Loy kana. So that's very not like Rabasi that says kana ma'ila b'simta. Aren't we talking about there's no meshicha, and he dumped it out in the middle of a simta? What else is the Mishnah talking about? Loy b'shus harabim. The reason why there's no kinyan is because it was in the Rosh Hashanah part. Let's go back to this picture. He didn't dump out the wheat on the right. He dumped it out smack in the Rosh Hashanah. And that's why the Mishnah says, Lo Yikana, not a raya against Rabasi. So the Gemara always does this. The Gemara anticipated this answer, and then the Gemara is going to say, aha, then I got you. Very good. For now, it seems okay to say that he dumped it out in the middle of Rosh Hashanah. The only issue is that then you have to be consistent. Then the whole Mishnah has to go with this theme. That's Rosh Hashanah. Ihachi emeresha. Let's see how it fits into the first part of the Mishnah. Mashach v'loy modad kana. If he did perform a meshicha, he was kaina. And then the Gemara says, but that cannot work. Meshicha b'Rosh Hashanah mikanya. It doesn't work in Rosh Hashanah. So luckily, we get to have a little bit of a chazara here, which we had, 10 days ago or so. So we had a whole sugya about this, and it's good to review. Very simple stuff. We have Hagbah, Meshicha, and Mesira. In that order, we said Hagbah is the most powerful kind of kinyan, form of kinyan. Meshicha is the second most powerful form of kinyan. Mesira is the least. Sometimes only Mesira works, but it's not such a great kinyan. What is Mesira? I give you, let's say, the leash of the dog. I give you the bit of the horse, the mouth, or whatever. So Hagbah is to lift something up, Mashiach is to pull it, Masir is to give you, I the owner, give you the buyer something that's attached to the animal. Masira. So let's go through them all. We're trying to prove that Mashiach does not work in Rishus Harabim. It's always good when Abai and Rava get along. There's no machlokes between them. It shows that it's very powerful. Masira koina b'Rishus Harabim u'b'chatzer she'eino shel shneim. When I give you over the leash to the dog, it works in middle of Rishus Harabim, and it also works in a chatzar that's neither of them. It's not the seller, not the buyers. Mashiach, and here this is what we're looking for. Mashiach koina b'simta. It works only in a simta and not in a Rishus Harabim. And that's a problem on saying that our Mishnah is talking about a Rishus Harabim, because it says in the beginning of the Mishnah that Mashiach works, and if you're telling me it's talking about a Rishus Harabim, how does Mashiach work in a Rishus Harabim? Mashiach koina b'simta u'b'chatzer shisha shneim. If it's a chatzar that belongs to both of them, then Mashiach pulling works. V'agba is very powerful. Koina b'chol makom. It works everywhere. So the Gemara has to answer. It is talking about Rishus Harabim, but it's talking about that he did this thing right over here. He was in a Rishus Harabim, and there was a boat there, and he brought the boat over here. So Benny asked, how did the boat get to Rishus Harabim? I said, listen, if the Israelis are able to blow up 5,000 terrorists through their beepers all over different countries in Syria and in Lebanon, then they know how to get. They could get a boat in the middle of Rishus Harabim. It's not a big deal. Maybe with a drone, maybe, I don't know. There's other ways they could do it. There's ways. Fine. So you're talking about from Rishus Harabim to a Simta. You saw how that worked? The same way. There's a boat in Rishus Harabim, some sort of puddle, and he was able to create a Simta and drag it in there. So, like in this is like in Venice. Just over there, I don't know if there's a Simta. I guess the whole thing is Simtas.
I saw a person in Venice come with a boat to the Simta, take the boat out of the water, put it on wheels, and go home with it.
I'm just saying, how do you know it's a Simta? Maybe it's part of the Rishus Harabim.
No,
it's all one giant. Yeah, right. No, the opposite. Simta is Rishus Harabim. Just we view it as a Rishus Hayachid for Kinyanim. So it's so quiet over there, and hardly anybody goes there. But it's attached. It's right off. It's connected to Rishus Harabim. It's like a tzidi Rishus Harabim kind of thing. It's part of Rishus Harabim. I'll give you a perfect example. It's neged to us. In Ramat Bet Shemesh, in the center of town, what is a Simta? What is a Simta? You could say, perhaps, that a Simta is the parking spot in middle of town. In other words, you have a big street. Suppose 600,000 people go through the center of Ramat Bet Shemesh every day. But since the city gives you permission to park your car on the side, you have permission to drop your metaltalin on the side and leave it there. So that's a Simta. It's a Rishus Harabim. It's busy. Everybody's going. But in the blue and white area, then it's mutter. Red and white is still part of Rishus Harabim.
But the blue and white is to everybody. Anybody can go there.
Yeah, exactly my point. Simta means it's quieter. You don't have all the people running back and forth, and you could pull in right off of Rishus Harabim, put your metalton there, and walk away, and it's permitted. If it's also for you to leave your car somewhere, if you're a mechutzef and you're davening, like you're davening mincha in Landau's, you park your car in somebody's driveway, that's usher. You did it isser. Over here, you're allowed to. That's part of living here, and people allow you. The city takes a little money for it, but some days they don't take money for it. Whatever it is, you could park your car there. It's mutter for you to park your car. That's the legal thing. You're allowed to park your car, but it's right. It's touching Rishus Harabim. Everybody walks next to your car. They're around your car. That's a Simta. It's in Rishus Harabim, but it's not Rishus Harabim, and therefore your car is able to make a kinyan on my cholent. If I put a pot of cholent in your car, boom, you're kaina. If you pull out of your spot and you're standing in middle of Ramat Bet Shemesh street over there, and I put a pot of cholent in your car, you're not kaina the cholent. because you're in a Rishus Harabim and your chotzer and your kli is not kaina. Car is l'chayra kli. It's metaltal. It's like a boat. We spoke about a boat. Blue and white, yes. Red and white, not. I'll tell you a ma'isa. There was a guy that drove from Yerushalayim to Haifa to visit his mother. Kibbutz Aveim. He comes out of his mother's house and he sees a cop writing him a ticket. Huh?
I wrote the story.
It's one of those NaNachman Seltzer days. You want to sit right over here? Akko. Okay, but at the end, this happened. Rav Nachman, this happened a number of times where I say the story and say, oh, a different story. That was it. Okay. The kid said, Akko. I've been corrected. But I didn't even say, there's people, like in Shul, you'll see, the Chazan goes, da da, and then the guy goes, da 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 da. He knows exactly what song he's talking about. There are people, it takes them 14 seconds at least. Like they get to the second stanza, then Rav Nachman, you say 2 words, the ticket story, Akko. Anyways, there's a guy that drove to visit his mother in Akko. This story can only happen in Haifa, the cops are nicer. So the cop he sees the cop writing him a ticket. He says, what are you doing? He says, you parked here on the red and white. He says, no, I'm on the blue and white. The cop says, look, here, you're on the red and white. The nose of your car is sticking out 6 inches into the red and white. He says, you're going to give me a ticket for 6 inches? Come on. He says, yeah, I'm giving you a ticket for 6 inches. So he cursed him out. He said, you're a son, whatever. Kitzer. And he wrote him a ticket. He drives back, he's telling the Rabbi Shalom, I drive all the way here to do mitzvahs kibbutz avein, and you give me a ticket like that. Shite. A few months later, maybe you should say the story.
You're doing good.
No, I don't know. If I get
Say the story.
a few months later, somebody accused him of a terrible thing. I didn't even know what. Terrible thing. And he went to court and he told the judge, it can't be that I was accused by this and this thing, because on that day, I was in Akko. So it just says, who says you're in Akko? Your car was in Akko, but you weren't in Akko. So he says, why don't you bring the cop for a minute, and then you'll see that I was in Akko. The cop will definitely remember me after I cursed him out like that. So Lamaisa, what we think is bad is good, and good is bad. B'kitzur v'chula v'chula. Anyway, Zok the Gemara. Yeah? That part of the story, what was he accused of?
No, it was something with his ex-wife, I think.
Those are bad. Those are always...
Ex-wife accusation.
I got it.
Yeah.
Same story. Zok the Gemara. Isn't it amazing, like when you catch somebody saying your story that you wrote?
It's amazing. It's like the first time it happened.
I'm still waiting for the day that I'm on a plane and I see a guy watching my shir. I've never seen it. Like I get the pictures from other people. Like it'll be cool. Like I'll tap on the shoulder. Hello.
Where did you see it?
I heard the story.
So you remember when you heard it?
Avada. I said it already probably 3 times.
Go to the back of the plane to see it.
Oh, that's a good one. Very good. It's one of the best ones he said. If you didn't hear, he said, I have to go to the back of the plane to see it. Very good. But the snobs in the business class, they don't do the share. What? No, you said it. Rob Beerley, you're gonna get it, Rob. Rob, you could testify to the Olam that you remember me. He was my neighbor when we lived in a basement for 2 years. 2 years in Brooklyn. Remember those days? And it wasn't even, the whole basement wasn't even ours. There was another person that shared it. And you guys lived above me? No, you were in the basement. I was already, no, I moved after 2. I'll explain what he's saying. No, he's right. We lived in the basement first for 2 years. Then we advanced. We went up, and then you moved. You were our neighbors in the basement, right? But 100% we lived in the basement. MS. We had a kid then. Aaron was alive and well. Then later, my daughter was born. Actually, my daughter who has 2 kids, and should I tell the Olam the bad news? My daughter is leaving Eretz Yisrael. She's making a yirida tonight to America. Possibly Utah for Kiruv. It's just bad news because then my wife is gonna, hopefully not, but my wife is gonna want to follow those grandchildren. Not my daughter, but the grandchildren. Anyway, my daughter was born in that apartment. Huh? She's not gonna move to Utah, but she's gonna want to visit the kids. I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay, we'll figure it out. Hopefully we can push her off a little bit. Zog the Gemara. Oh, we're still holding Pedal on Amud Beis. You're telling me it's talking about a Rishus Rabbin to a Simta. If you were a wise one, Pikeach is a wise person. You say that a Chacham is somebody who learns from his own experiences. A Pikeach, the wise one, learns from other people's experiences. You know, a mashal of a pikeach, I would think, like everybody knows, Rav Shteiman was a pikeach. You would ask him a question, he gave you like this, a sharp kind of way of looking at it. Pikeach. Right, pikeach? The Mishnah gives us an idea how to do business. You want to be smart about it. All you need to do is give a guy $1, like the caterer who receives dollars from people for the chuppah. You get $1, it's yours. You're telling me that this thing started off here. Look at this picture. In Rishus Harabim. And it went off to the Simta. Miman Ogar. Who exactly are you renting part of the Rishus Harabim from? You're right. Good question. It's another halacha that the Mishnah is telling us. First is halacha in the Rishus Harabim going to the Simta. And if you're a Chacham and you're purchasing something from somebody that it's in his house, what do you do? The only way out of it is to rent. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel Amr Tavayu, Kelyei Shaladam, Koineloi B'chol Makoim, Chutz Mishus Harabim. This vessel right over here that we see, this measuring cup, works everywhere, including a simta, but not in the Rishus Harabim. Your kli, your vehicle, your car, standing in the middle of 13th Avenue, cannot make a kinyan. It does work in Rishus Harabim, says the Gemara. Not true. They don't argue. Rabbi Yochanan never said that your vehicle, that your measuring cup works in the middle of Rishus Harabim. It does not work in Rishus Harabim. It only works in a simta, a parking spot, maybe. Somebody wrote that to me yesterday, and I spoke to the guys in the kollel, and they all agreed that he was right, that a parking spot is included as a simta. You could call it a simta. Kam a simta. V'mai korla Rosenthal, yeah? Yosef, if you find that email, give him some credit. Something Rosenthal. I think it was Rosenthal. V'mai korla Rishus Harabim. She'ein Rishus HaYochid. It's a very strong language, Rishus Harabim. It's not a Rishus Harabim. It just means that it's not a Rishus HaYochid. There's two types of throughout Masechtas Shabbos. Rishus Harabim, Rishus HaYochid. Rishus Harabim, Rishus HaYochid. So if I'm trying to tell you, I'm not going to say simta. I just tell you Rishus Harabim, which means anything that's not a Rishus HaYochid. It makes sense in Lashon of Gemara. Elazar Rosenthal, very good. Yishkoich Rebbe Elazar Rosenthal, because you opened my eyes to a practical way for us to think in today's day and age. We don't know what Rishus Harabim is. We're not familiar with the simta. We're not familiar with it. So this gives us, it makes it more relevant to our day. Simta, like a parking spot in Eretz Yisrael, specifically where it's blue and white means you can park, red and white means you cannot, and that gives you that, you understand what it is.
Didn't you say that Hakba works anywhere? How are you going to get that kli out if you're not going to pick it up?
Okay. Yeah. Later on, if you do Akba, you do Akba. Right now, we're talking about, is it yours? Who could, let's say the kli breaks. The Rashbam talks about it. Let's say the kli breaks. Let's say I take it back. Let's say I filled up your kli. I filled up your car with merchandise. You double park in Rishus Harabim. I fill it up with a bunch of boxes of make the Daf Great Again hats. And then the price shoots up. I could go to your car and take it out. But if you lift up your car, then it's yours. You're right. If you did Akba, it's yours. But as long as you didn't do Akba, I can take it back. But it's a good kasha. He's asking good kashas, this guy. I'll prove it to you. It says Mefurish. Your kli, your vessel, your vehicle could perform kinyanim when you have permission to be there. We're talking about a simta here, that a kli works in a place that you have rishus, like in a simta, and Rishus Harabim, you don't have rishus to leave it there. it does not work. Tashma. Now, I want to prove, does my kli, in middle of Rishus Harabim, could I acquire something or not? We just said, according to our pub, it doesn't work. Let me prove it. Again, I have a kli, I have a box. My box, in the middle of Rishus Harabim. It's a very interesting shayla. Who owns the box? I own the box, but my box maybe is overpowered by the Rishus Harabim. Arba midas b'moichrim. There's 4 different halachas when it comes to sale. So let me just show you real quickly. Thank you. So what the Gemara is going to do here is, Yoshi did this, I think it's very nice. Check this out. This kli is owned by who? By this guy. He's the mashal. He's a lender. So halacha number 1 is, in certain cases, the picture on the kli changes. The guy with the green turban, he's a lender of the kli. So in other words, case number 1 is, the kli, the vessel that we're using, is not owned by either the buyer or the seller. It's owned by a third party. And therefore, the buyer and seller both together borrowed this vessel. So who owns it? Depends. The seller owns it for the initial part. As he's trying to sell his produce, he owns it. He's the bailam over it. The buyer gets to be the bailam on it when it's negeh to him. Each person is negeh. So this is just chazara. Here, you see the arrow points towards the seller. As when it's empty, it's the seller's. As you fill it up, when it's completely full, maybe you should have done a little slower. Again, it's the seller's, and when it's completely full, when it's halfway full, it's not the buyer's, it's still the seller's. When it's completely full, then it goes over to the buyer. In other words, if it's halfway full and the kli broke and the produce was damaged, that's the seller's problem.
Why?
That's how it is. Because he is what?
What's the kinyan?
Kinyan, what kinyan?
How does it look on it now?
Kinyan chatzar. When it's your kli, it's your chatzar. No, you borrow it from the mashal. You borrow it from the mashal. Both of them borrowed it from a mashal. A mashal means a lender. So the lender's out of the picture. What?
He filled it up.
Yeah. He lent you a kli, then it becomes your kli. I just said it depends who's using it. In the initial part, when you're filling it up, then the seller is using it. So he's the borrower of that kli. He's the kinyan chatzar in that kli. As soon as it fills up completely, then the buyer is borrowing the kli. He's borrowing the kli, it becomes his kli. Becomes his kli is kind of a kinyan chatzar 100%. Now, if the kli is completely the buyer's, so you hear this, Judah? You're going to miss this. If the kli is 100% the buyer's, he brought it from his kitchen. So when it fills up a little bit, he's kind of bekinyan chatzar. When it fills up a little more, he's kind of bekinyan chatzar. As it fills up, every coffee bean that falls into this kli is his. Then you have 2 other kinyanim, Rishus Moicher and Rishus Lakeach Shalom Aleichem Kimtzaran. Rishus Moicher, over here you see that this house is owned by the seller. There's even a picture of him. So if it's in his house, then the way to be kind is you have to do Hagbah. And then you have Rishus Lakeach, it's in the buyer's Rishus. So as soon as the guy says, I want to sell it, boom, it becomes yours because it's in your house. Okay, so let's see inside. What we're trying to find again, what are we trying to find?
You mean even if it's in the person's kli?
Oh, let's see. No. This is in Rishus HaKoina. This is Rishus HaKoina. So, we're trying to prove whether or not a kli of a kli could acquire something in Rishus HaRabim. So it says like this: Arba midos. Arba midos b'moichim. There's 4 levels here, or 4 situations. Actually, nismala mida. This is obviously talking about when the kli is a mashals. It's a third-party kli. Actually, nismala, when it doesn't fill up yet, mida lamoicher. Then it's completely the seller's. It's the seller's kli. So when you fill it up, it's still the seller's. Why? Because he's the one using it now. Mishin is smalamida, when it's completely full, then all of a sudden it was lent, we view it as it was lent to the buyer. So then it is, it's all owned by the buyer. Should we show that again? So do chazara.
What's the
Kinyan chotzer.
When did it happen?
He's having a hard time understanding when the kli gets transferred from you, the moicher, to the.
Yeah.
When did that kli get mushal from you to me? That's what he's having.
You didn't see in the picture that he took some photos.
Here. It doesn't have to be taken. You don't have to take control of the kli. The lender lent the kli to two people, to a buyer and a seller. But the seller has full control of the kli as long as he's using it to sell something. So that's why the arrow here points to the seller. It's the kli and the chotzer of the seller. When he fills it up, then boom, the arrow switches. They already, both of them borrowed it from the guy. But right now the buyer needs to use it, so it becomes his kli, and because it's his kli, he acquires a bekinyan chotzer. It's whatever's inside the kli becomes his.
He thinks 100% and he puts on one more beam, so that means it wasn't 100% before.
Yeah, exactly. As long as he's done filling, when he's done filling it up, then it transfers. The kinyan transfers to the guy. You're bothered by Judah David's question?
No, I'm asking a separate question. It transfers over when it's 100% full. What's 100%?
Whatever, 1 kilo. 1 kilo, I bought a kilo, so when I get the kilo, that's it. I don't know.
I want to sell it. You want to buy it. I'm not trying to delay. You're right.
Let's go, Rabbi. So we only have 9 minutes to finish everything here. This is in a case where the cup is not owned by either of them. Now, here's halacha number 2. But if it was owned by one of them, rishon kana. As you fill it up, you acquire it. Oh, Bershus harabim. You could be kaina with a kli and Bershus harabim, it says over here. Even in a place where there's a chatzar, it doesn't belong to either of them. Here's halacha number 3. And so that halacha is good for us. You see, you could acquire something in Bershus harabim with a kli. But if this all occurred in the property of the seller, like here, this is Rishus Moicher, you must perform a hagbah, like this guy did, you see? Boom, he lifted it up. Or pull it out of his property. Halach number 4. But if it's in the property of the lekeach like this, once the seller decided how much he wants for his produce, you're already in the buyer's front yard, so the yard, his whole chutzner is kind of.
Even in the kli of the moicher.
Yes, I would say so. Even in the kli of the moicher. Rishus, yeah, even the kli of the moicher. Rishus halah hamufkadim etzlai. And let's say you are in a third party's property. So the Rashbam says all kinyanim work here. Everything works. Like kana ad. It says the Rashbam doesn't mean only. It means even. Like kanachi kabbalah of oishachi yiskim. There's other ways to be kind of here. By yikabbalah means that he lends you the property, or he rents you the place. Like I said, when I was a caterer, people used to come to me all the time. It's actually a shayla halacha. Does the chassan have to acquire the chuppah? How does a chassan make a chuppah if it's not his chuppah? So maybe he has to do a kinyan sudar with the caterer. Because when you rent the hall, you're not renting the hall. You rent the ability to be in the hall. You don't own the hall. You don't have any kinyanim like a renter of a house. But when you have a chuppah, some people say, Rabbi says, not. What if you make a chuppah in the middle on a sidewalk? A lot of people in Bnei Brak on the sidewalks, in front of the hall. Problematic according to some achrayim. Rabbi Eliyash is not to worry about it. Okay. But the best thing is to rent the spot with a pruta. It doesn't have to be much. So finally, what's the proof? Last line on the Amud. It says mefurish that if you're Rishus Harabim, Daf Pei Amud Beis, my lab Rishus Harabim mamish, and you could be kaino with a kli. Your vessel, your car, whatever it is, in the middle of Rishus Harabim, does acquire. Loi simta. We're not talking about a real Rishus Harabim. We're talking about a simta. Now we already all agreed they could make kinyanim in a simta. Sponsored by Yaakov CITRONFILMS, and Lili Nishmas, the 6. I like it. You know what? Because a lot of people think that if you woke up late, you should, I missed it. No, you didn't miss it. Sometimes Hilly Kamiatsky comes in for 3 minutes at the end of this year. Seriously. He goes to sleep at 4. I'm not joking. I admire it. I think it's a tremendous thing. It's chashuv. So what if you woke up late? Chaparan, another 10 minutes. The whole Amud Beis here. Yes, it's 3 minutes, but it's the whole Amud Beis. We're holding the top line in Amud Beis, no joke. As the Gemara, you're talking about a simta. Over there, it's, a simta is always parallel to a chatzar shel shneim, a chatzar that's owned by 2 people. Over here, we're saying it's similar. It's in the same line. It's in the same sentence. Rishus Harabim and chatzar she'eino shel shneim. It's neither of theirs. My chatzar she'eino shel shneim nami deloy da hay kula veloy da hay kula elo de tarvayu. Yeah, a lawyer once said. Somebody wanted to buy, one of my friends wanted to buy something with like a partnership. So the lawyer told him, don't view it that you're buying something with partnership, just view it as 2 of you own nothing. Basically, he says, you're going to have such sorrows from this guy. He's going to want this. You're buying like a business together with him. Forget it. Like he's trying. Over here is like the opposite. What does it mean? Einish shel shneim. My chatzar she'einish shel shneim. Deloy da hay kula, veloy da hay kula. Neither of you own the whole thing. So it's neither of you. Forget it. That's the lashon. It doesn't mean that it's you're actually partners, but it's kilu. It's better that you're not even partners. It's kilu loyhaya. You both own it, but neither of you own the whole thing. It's just to explain the lashon. But again, we're talking about a simta, which is similar to a chatzar that's owned by 2 people, which is not owned by either one of them completely. The kli of a lekeach, which just as an aside, I don't know if you've ever seen this. I've seen this with my own eyes. People who are makbid on global warming or whatever, they'll show up to simcha like with a bag and they pull out their own kalim because they don't want to use disposable kalim. You know, it's also to use disposable stuff. So, and then here in Eretz Yisrael, it says on disposable that it's reusable. So that you can get away with the taxes. It's not disposable. It's reusable. What do you mean? Who told you that this is any? And then I'll tell you the ma'isa that happened to me on my porch. I made a shever brachas for a certain individual. Like not a friend, just the chesed kind of thing. And we bought very nice disposable, how do you call them? Flatware, whatever. So at the end of the shever brachas, I went around and I collected all the stuff. I put it in a garbage bag. And about to throw it out, and the Baal Simcha comes over and he says, listen, you really going to throw that out? I said, yeah. He says, do you mind if I take it home and wash them off and reuse them? I was like, no. So then like a few weeks later, I saw him. I said, Nusa, how did it go with the washing? He goes, are you kidding me? I have the most popular gebach in my neighborhood. People have used this dozens of times. For all the simchas, they're using, I'm not joking, disposable, they wash it down, they use it again. Agabonim, that's klisha loikeach. You come to a guy's bar mitzvah with your own kalim. What if I bring my vessel into your house? It's a very interesting shayla. Think about it. My box in your dining room. What rishus is it? Is it your dining room that overcomes my box? Or it's my box that overcomes your dining room? It's my little box in your dining room. Then whatever goes into the box is mine. Whatever. We're trying to figure it out here. Says the Gemara, so this is a beautiful sugya that we learned in Gittin. The famous pasuk we just had, read by your son so beautifully. Yeah, this Shabbos, Sefer Cruces. It says Mufurish that you have to give the get in the hand of the woman. What about you threw it into her lap. You threw it into the basket. Here we have some pictures. Here's the wife. You throw it into her lap. Or you throw it into the basket, the sewing basket. In those days, that was 100% mutter. You throw a get, she's not even paying attention. You got into a little fight. You say, hey! And okay, you're divorced. Shalom Yisrael. Against her will, against anything. Today, we have Chayalim Dereb. You cannot divorce a wife forcefully, and you cannot marry a second woman. So the shayla is, let's say a wife doesn't want to get divorced. So there's something called the Heter Rabbanim, that one of the biggest Rosh Hashivas in America used it. Adei Mazeh, like his wife still did. No? She did accept it then. Okay. Lo mishaneh. So here's a shayla. They use the Heter Rabbanim. This is something called the Heter Rabbanim. What are we being matter? For the husband to marry a second wife, or for the husband to give her the divorce forcefully? There's two Cherim there Rabbeinu Gershims. Which one are you using? So what they do is they say you're allowed to marry a second wife, but you have to give a get and put it in Bezdin. Rabbi Milinowitz was the one that held on to the get of that Rosh Hashiva. I don't know what happened at the end over there. Huh? He was the one that organized. Okay. Harezim Gereshus. All my layer of NaNachman, my time of Pshataslim. Why would you bring me a raya from that Mishnah? The machula mea uchle beuchla. If you take let's say a 1 pound piece of metal and you hit somebody with it, it's very painful. But if you put it in a sack, let's say, and you swing it, you could kill somebody like that. That's a uchla. Uchla is a weight. They already whacked this sugya hundreds of times. There's so many different pshatim in that sugya. How are you going to bring me a ride from this sugya? Domer of one pshat is. Domer of Yidam Shmuel v'hu shoyse kaltet liyaba. Here, like this. The basket is around her neck. So it's her. So again, we're trying to prove over here a basket in somebody else's rishus is kaina. You're in the husband's dining room, and the wife has a box, it's her box, and the get is inside the box, she becomes divorced. So you see, a box is its own rishus, even though the box is in somebody else's rishus. So no. It's like a necklace, it's around her, and this is mamish her. Check this out. It's tied to her. Like the famous Maisa, there's a Gabbai. Every Simchas Torah, you tell his Chevra, I'm done. I don't want to be the Gabbai of the Shul anymore. Every Simchas Torah. And they would beg him, and then finally he'd say, okay, fine. So one year, he kept on like saying, I'm done. He puts his keys on the beam. I'm out of here. No, please. Okay. So one year he takes his keys, he throws it on the bima. I'm done. So one of the young mechutzafim says, yeah, you done? Okay, fine, I'm done. He takes his keys and runs away. But then he got stuck. He tied it with a fishing string to his pants. So this is liyaba. You thought you're going to chop that basket from her? No. It's tied to her foot. Like this. Okay, it's not in the rishus of the husband. So we have so many different pshatim. What do you bring me a raya from over there? Here, check this out. The husband is a sewing basket seller, and he just so happens to have an empty shelf over there, or whatever it is in his dining room. He has baskets everywhere. People come in day and night, and they're buying baskets. You think he cares? He's makbid that some other person put a basket down there. That's what he does for a living. The kitzer, do not bring a raya from here. This is a different situation. Here. Boom. He goes into the closet, and then he throws the get in there. Okay, so she's divorced in that case. Her lap is hers. Her basket is hers. Why? It's his wife. Yeah, you're right. And he hates her right now, and in 1 minute they're going to be divorced. But he was never makbid on anything she did. Her room is her room. Her basket is hers. And okay, so there's no right. Again, bottom line is, look how many pshatim we said. 100 people whacked it with a stone. Don't bring me a raya. But if you want to bring me a raya, you can bring a raya from here. We just learned that if this measuring device is in the rishus of the seller, he has to lift it up. So what do you see? Let's go back to that very, very pashut. Now it's gevaldik. Oops, sorry. Rishus moicher. Here. No, not that one. Sorry. This one. Rishus moicher. How do you acquire this? We said, remember? Check this out. Boom, he has to lift it up. So what do you see? That the kli does not work. It's not good enough just to have a kli. And this is even in a kli of the buyer. it won't work until you lift it up. Loi, Bekilya the Moicher. It's in the kli of the seller, and that's why it doesn't work. It's the chatzar of the seller. Okay. Says Gemara, but then again, we have to go through the cheshbon here. I'm just going to do 5-6 lines here. So you're telling me that it's talking about a kli of the seller, and memela, everything has to be consistent, and all the cases are talking about the same thing. They're all the kli of the seller. But enechanami, if it was the kli of the buyer, it would work. Seifanami bekili the moiches. Then you have to say the other case is also the kli of the seller. What is the case? If this kli of the seller was inside the house of the buyer, once the seller agreed upon a price, the buyer acquires it. As the Gemara Bam question, but if it's the car in the garage of the buyer, but it's the car of the seller, how in the world will the buyer acquire it? It's not his car, it's the seller's car. Says the Gemara, okay, so then we're forced to say it's two different kalim. That you're right. In that case, it's actually the car of the buyer. That's why it works. But why would you do something like that? Who told you to switch cases? Okay, says the Gemara, Stam the Milsa, that's how it works. If you're in the house of the seller, whose car is going to be in the garage? The seller's car. And if you're in the house of the buyer, whose car is going to be in the garage? Gevaldig, Rabbi, have a wonderful day.